Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics on such an exciting day and time in history. I did make it successfully back from Washington, D.C., which was quite a hoot. Um, and yeah, it's fun to be back home digging into silver, especially with this week's options expiration coming up. And again, before we get started, I've seen the comments, I've seen the email. I know there's some fantastic coverage on the internet with some of these conspiracy theorists that, frankly, sometimes it's hard to, things they say, it's hard to tell if some of these guys have suffered brain damage. Although we don't want to say that respectfully. Obviously, hopefully that never happens to anyone. But, I guess the state of affairs in today's silver market. But fortunately, back on the air, and we will dig into all of that and more, as well as what the option board is looking like and what that could tell us. So hope your week is off to a good start. And let us start by beginning with today's sponsor for the show, which is Reyna Silver. Now, I was watching some Ross Benham clips over the weekend, and in the spirit of transparency, Reyna is a sponsor, kind of like on TV where they have commercials and people try and match the audience with the viewers and get them something. Well, theoretically, get them something that would be useful. I thought if people think silver is going to go up for the reasons we talk about, that you might want to know about Reyna Silver. I can't tell you to buy it because I'm not a licensed legal financial advisor. Plus, in today's exciting marketplace, there's a lot of views, and I can't say for sure mine is right. So, it seems like a lot of the investors, for example, at the Federal Reserve and Exchange Stabilization Trading Desks, they love negative yielding treasuries. So there is appetite for that. And I don't know, as a commentator who strives for accuracy and transparency, I think it'd only be fair to mention that. There's also other things worth consideration. In fact, this would be a great time. Whoops, almost did not hit the share sound button. We will do that now. But this would be a good example because, again, if I just came on and said everything I think is right and other people is wrong, what kind of players? But let's take a look, because there could be people who believe this. And in that case, you'd probably want to, let's hear what he says first.
Before I do that, I thought I should update a little bit on silver. There continues to be a lot of misinformation and just bad information. It isn't that people are necessarily trying to deceive you. They just don't know what they're talking about in the silver market.
Well, that's good to hear. At least they're not liars. They're probably just morons. Now, what I'm wondering, he's talked about videos leading up to prior options expiration. And I know Craig Hemke usually makes audio recordings, and I didn't see anyone else make options videos. So I don't know if he's a fan or watches the channel. I love his work. Not only am I a subscriber, but I've hit the notification bell, and I'm so excited about what I'm learning. I'm hosting a roundtable Wednesday night to just cover what the silver world should know. Jeff is invited. I've messaged him on Twitter, but I got his email address. If he can come explain any of that. I'm getting tons of emails. But anyway, let us stay focused and continue on with. We got to get to options. I'm sorry I'm sidetracked today, but it all ties together. Because options really are all about probabilities, expressing all the different views in the marketplace. And so you should be aware of some of the views that are out there.
And I thought I'd do a little bit of update here. First off, we have the COMEX roll. May COMEX active contract. The first delivery date is a week from now. You have a lot of open.
And this was on the 23rd. So that means just days away. So... And I can't wait for April 29th myself, but we'll stay focused.
The last number I saw was about 378 million ounces of May open interest. that will be bought back and rolled forward into July between now and next Friday, the vast majority of it. And that could have the effect of pushing the silver price up.
Okay. Wait, is Jeff saying silver is going up this week? I just want to make sure I'm clear. I know with all my silly trading experience, I get caught up in the details, and sometimes I can't tell. So that's why we'll do a roundtable to see if anybody else can tell. At least to my credit, am I fair? I acknowledge my ignorance in the presence of brilliance. So again, I'm calling out and asking for help. If anyone else knows, please leave in the comments. And while this is going, I'm pulling up the live chat. So maybe anyone in the chat can figure it out. Please.
Something that's happened always. It's something that I won't bother you with the details. If people really want to know, we can explain it to you at some other point.
Fortunately, nothing going on in the world. Silver might go up this week, but Jeff is not bothering us with the details. I'm going to switch over to the comment field. Let me know if I should just end this video now. I feel maybe this is how I've been getting outclassed in my research. I'm wasting everybody's time while Jeff courteously did not bother us with the details. Although there is another 14 minutes of which we will play one. I'm thinking about becoming a CPM subscriber. I have a few questions, just like, weird evaluation process I have, but anyway.
But it's something that exists in the market. Now, you also have the Wall Street bets, Wall Street silver people who say that they're going to try to squeeze the May contract. And they just don't understand what they're talking about. And it's terrible. As I explained to somebody the other day, I could have a motorcycle accident and suffer brain damage and know more about silver than they do. It's just.
Wait, no. You think? All right, I get it. You're all watching at home. You're like, what the heck was Chris doing this weekend? He doctored his video. There's no way anybody who puts out research like this would say anything that fucking stupid. I know, but I swear I didn't. I'm serious. And I'm going to invite Jeff on to see, again, I don't want to be disrespectful because brain damage is obviously, the brain is important, at least I've heard. But I don't know if he's suffered brain damage, but I promise I did not Photoshop or audio edit. I didn't do any tricks on this. This is just playing. You can go on his channel and hear it. I didn't password. I didn't doctor his video. Who
say that they're going to try to squeeze the May contract. And they just don't understand what they're talking about. And it's terrible. As I explained to somebody the other day, I could have a motorcycle accident and suffer brain damage and know more about silver than they do.
What a fucking legend, bro. That is awesome. Love the cut too. I'm going to start growing my hair out. See, here's the thing. He's mentioned Wall Street bets. I've never gotten a shout out on Jeff's show. And hey, I understand. I'm like the new kid on the block, only been doing this like a couple months. But maybe a good research project would see if I could confirm that what Jerome Smith said in his Silver Profits for the 80s book, or interestingly, he mentioned that one of the banks that was most short silver back in the 1980s when the regulators and the banks fucked their customers then was J. Aaron, which is Jeff's bank that he brags about. And then he also name drops Goldman Sachs, Jeff Christian, Jeff Curry. Santa roundtable of the year. Give me the two Jeffs and I'll never ask for anything again. In fact, I'm setting up a program where if anyone can facilitate that, Dick Hayes, Jeff Christian, or Jeff Curry, if somebody agrees to get them to do an interview, I'm in the process of purchasing a 100-ounce silver bar. It's yours. In fact, I'm getting 3. I'm going to get one for like if Jeff Christian, I don't know if he's worth the bar, but for Dick Hayes, if he would appear on my show, I'll give a 100-ounce silver bar to the person who arranges the interview, 100 ounces to Dick, and a third bar to a charity of Dick's choosing, although we got to keep it clean on the charity because that part I would like to be public and appropriate. So anyway, we are going to get to options today, but I'm just trying to explain, because if with our sponsor, this is why I don't give financial advice, somebody could watch what this guy says and have a different view on silver than I do. Or for example, I'm just saying this is the type of, actually it is related to options, because you think about all the scenarios and things that are possible when you have more information. So here's Chairman Rostin Benham on March 18th, a month and a half after he launched a silver investigation, one day coincidentally in front of Silver Tuesday when the price fell 10%, despite historic silver demand records, which he's not commented on yet. Although when he gave this interview in March, he'd already been sitting on the first round of evidence I sent him for over a month. But here I am on a tangent again. What is going on with me today? Let me play this real quick, because depends what you think about
with the silver contract. And in many respects, the resiliency and the market structure of the futures market really were able to tamp down what could have been a much worse situation in the silver market.
So, in addition to him later mentioning controlling the price and volatility, and then spitting in his constituents' face when he talked about transparency, I mean, it really, when you, at least, again, not financial advice, I'm not qualified for that. I'm not a lawyer like Ross. I just figured out how to make actually my first year of trading on my own. The crowd tripled the goal they gave me, but I'm sure that's irrelevant and I don't know what I'm talking about. So I will do you the service of the proper disclaimer, because let's say a lot of people buy silver this week because they're stunned by some of the things they see April 29th. And, but then the CFTC or the banks act to tamp down the price because they're scared. Now, in full disclosure, I do have some idea what he was scared about, because the LBMA just issued a report saying they were shitting in their pants. People are buying so much metal. In fact, that it was working and they were weeks away from running out. But as long as nobody ever talks about silver, or the chairman seemingly admitting price rigging on camera, as long as nobody ever talks about that between now and eternity, the price should be able to be kept under control. So those are the things that I think about when I look at Reyna Silver. And, but hey, maybe I've suffered brain damage. So let's get to the action here. Cover silver. I mean, geez, would I get to it before the darn thing expires already? Just a quick look at the conspiracy theory silver board that I found. I'm pulling this up in my flying saucer. So I wanted to find Jeff, so I was looking around for him today. Here you see the 26 strike. There's 912. These are the calls. See 457. So that's a big one. 529. Basically, traditionally, the way these things happen, at least in Conspiracyville, is that usually the banks write these contracts, meaning they're short. So if silver goes above 26 and the banks are indeed short, as historically appears to have been the case, although unfortunately with the transparent CFTC, I mean, good luck finding out if there's a way you could actually get that information. And I think, even despite my alien hunting prowess, given that I was a market maker for Susquehanna International Group, trading options, and then running a specialist post on the American and New York stock exchanges. So unlike Ross, I will concede he has the edge in legal, although I have some trading credentials. By the way, I wasn't fired. I voluntarily left because I felt this was more important, that someone should speak up about it, which is why I wrote a book, contacted Bart Schulten, who acknowledged the fraud going on within the agency during Gary Gensler's tenure. Yet nonetheless, that brings us back to the option board. Oh yes, I was saying, when I was on the floor, brokers could come in and say, hey, I see this traded on the tape, I need color. And I was legally required to say, customer bought, they paid this price and they sold. This was to brokers who were kind of not easy to get along with. Yet good luck finding that out in silver. But thank you for the transparency of the agency. And anyway, as you can see, so I would imagine if silver goes through 26, whoever is short some of those 912 contracts will start losing money, certainly more at 26.50, certainly at 27. I'll tell you what, if silver, but here you see at $30. Okay. All right. Oh, this is live before it happens. Freewheeling. I'm not even scripted here. If silver goes above $30 by before options expiration tomorrow, that will mean the COMEX has ended. And I don't think that that's going to happen as much as a paper Ponzi scheme as it is being exposed as. But anyway, the point, if I have one here, you go through, probably hard to imagine it going much above 26. Where is the price actually right now? Let's pull that up for a moment here. I think it was somewhere around 26 this morning. Very volatile session. Look, we got spoof back and forth. And as Bart Chilton talked about, former CFTC commissioner, that the current gang has shown no indication that they're aware of his legacy. But we see it spoofed. And knowing the stop orders that are placed here, if I were the commissioner of the CFTC, if they hire me as commissioner of CFTC one day, these are the kind of things I would be checking, especially that V shape looks actually that might be what Deutsche Bank would describe as the muscle and blade, I believe. I'm not sure. The CFTC has the trading records, and I only had to go to Nick Laird's Gold Charts or Us site to find it. So I did not experience the transparency on that, but anyway, you can see it's right around $26. Then if we go down and look at the put structure, make some option trading music in the background. You see this is interesting here. So the writer of the puts would lose if it goes especially below 26, certainly below even more if you start getting far below 25.75. So in other words, at least as best as I can calculate, now again, hey, it's imperfect information like a poker game. You never know if you get rivered by a CFTC commissioner. Yet based on the clues that I am seeing here, there's a darn good chance of silver being very, very close to 26 at options expiration tomorrow. If you see a big move, certainly to the upside, if you ever saw silver above 26 today or 30 today, I would think that then I would be thinking, oh, actually, it doesn't even matter today. I don't know if I've shared this before. My understanding, which I will not get into, I'll just say this is my understanding and honest understanding, or I honestly believe this. Think that if silver gets much above 30 for any extended period of time, that would probably be the end of the manipulation scheme. So anyway, so you can take a look. This is on the, what is it? The volume tab. Not the easiest stuff to find, but it looks like the board is set up for things to be pretty close to 26 tomorrow. Oh, yes, I remember what I was going to say now. I actually did call one of these. There was one of them like a month or two ago where I nailed it pretty good. I probably got lucky, but I did watch some CPM podcasts before I recorded this. So could he do it again? We will see. Lastly, for anyone who is new to options, now I don't have Jeff's decades of experience. Fair enough. Granted, but I did trade options for what I would say is arguably the top options shop in the world. I'll bet on any. You can bring Citadel or Dell, especially Carlyle, if they promise to let George Bush do some of the trading. But Susquehanna, they were pretty sharp. Not as good as Paul Pelosi. Fair. But basically here, this is the diagram of how it works. This is what we would call a straddle, which is if you buy or sold a call or a put. So often people would come into the crowd and say, I want to know the April 26th straddle. And essentially, if you look down here, this is the call option payout diagram. So let's say you're long. Here's your break-even line, I guess we will call it. That's not the right term, but you'll see in a second. You pay some premium. So let's say you pay $1. So this second line would be $1 below. And if it's the 26 strike, you know, your break even be around $27. You paid $1, but you have unlimited upside. So if it goes to 40, your profit keeps going, whereas your downside is capped. I will dig into this more in another time. This is your put diagram. If you buy a put, you win as it goes down, but if it goes up, you're capped at the premium you paid. And you can find videos or other stuff on the internet. And another time I will dig into this more deeply, but at least this, if you rewind it a couple of times, it'll sink in if you map it out. I could have done a better job explaining. But here is the call and the put. So basically, if a volatile like Tesla, you think it's going to move around a lot more theoretically than a utility stock, or, you know, a silly commodity like silver that never moves, and they only launch investigations when it moves to the upside because they're so darn scared of running out of metal, as we now know, thanks to the confessions. But basically, in a situation like this, if I think that silver is going to pin at 26, if I had the same old setup I had with Susquehanna where I could hammer some straddle bids, I would be doing that today. Again, not legal financial advice, and don't have that current infrastructure, although I'm going to get it. And soon I will be able to do stuff like that because, you know, I would balance that, especially when you're selling options. What I didn't know then, but maybe with 15 years of life experience, I think there's that bias towards, you know, you hear, at least if you're trading options, some guy, you know, sells some cheap out of the money calls and then he gets clobbered because it was a takeover stock and someone was picking him off, and the CFTC or whichever regulator never did anything about it. And part of the training at Susquehanna was that no one ever knew of someone who got cheated getting reimbursed or compensated, much like in the CFTC's treatment of the silver world. But you know, yeah, you can get picked off, but the goal is not to win 100% of the time. In fact, the guy who trained me, or the second guy, second in command, he told me at one point, I think it was, he said, if you're winning on more than 53% of your trades, you're not trading optimally, which I would equate to, it's like if you play poker and you only ever get in the game when you have pocket aces, yeah, you'll probably win those, but you'll be so transparent, unlike Ross, that everyone will know you have aces. They know that's the only hand you play, so you won't get any action. That's why poker is similar to derivatives. That's why these things can get so complex. I understand lawyers don't know it. That's why I took the time to write up the evidence for the CFTC 2 rounds, and I'm actually going to write up a 3rd round just to get it on the record that what their own commissioner said. Frankly, and if you'd like to support this, I think I've qualified for the whistleblower award. I know one of the criteria is that they have to have fined the criminals already, although, you know, I didn't wait around for Ross to do that. But anyway, that is what is going on this morning. Actually, I'm going to take a quick look over and see if we have any questions. Do we have any questions there in the chat room? Why don't you just tell me what questions you have? So where does the great red spot on flat Jupiter keep disappearing to? Do the Jupiterians put it under the blanket? I don't know, but I would love to see the answer to that if anybody else does. Susan Selton says, the moon landings were filmed at the Nickelodeon studios until Disney bought it out. I did watch a wild Disney movie for the 2nd time this weekend, Escape from Tomorrow, I think it is. There's an interesting film. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Bo Polney said something was coming down April 23rd to 26th. Well, I guess we're on the end of the timeline there. And in all fairness, I feel for it. I try not to be too much of a smart ass, except when warranted. Like, I feel like the Jeffs are fair game. It just, I don't know what to say about that. Dick Hayes too. I mean, I give the people the chance. Like, Jeff, you're invited to the round table this week. You can be there if you want. You want to try and explain the bullshit you say, fine. You want us to giggle about it without you there? That's fine too. I don't give a shit anymore. I'm going to be fine either way. But I think for the people, I think Bo is a really genuine guy. I mean, he knows he's looking at it from a different perspective than I am. And I know, well, I'll tell you this. I've found a lot of the stuff that people discount or say is impossible. I mean, I know people don't like some of the things Bix looks at. I found there's a lot of wacky stuff in the world going on. I mean, so I like to just listen and consider all possibilities, then let the evidence or the facts, research make the decision. So, and with that said, for example, I think they both. My mic is coming in. I don't know if my wire's loose. Hopefully, you guys can hear me all right. I see a message, but I guess it's what I'm saying in clumsy fashion. I realized early on when I started doing this, don't throw out a date I can't back up. And I've been pretty careful to do, or I've tried to be careful. Hopefully it's come across where, I'll say, hey, this is how I feel. This is how I think. And certainly given the context of what's happened since February 2nd, I do feel that the silver squeezers won. These are the pieces of evidence showing that you had to have a massive crime and a massive cover up to cheat them out of it. And by the way, another day I'll tell the story. I think I have the video of me converting. I think it was that week. I'm going to look it up. But this was the second time I put a massive bet on, because even I think that week I started selling my mining stock shares to convert them to short-term options. And I had this account that had 27 grand in it, went to 195 grand. I think was the highest I saw on Monday the 1st, and ended up, I think I salvaged like 1 or 2 grand out of it. So quite a roller coaster. Yet the best part is that I'm completely cool with it because I understand the bet that I made. And I was betting, and I was prepared that I can make the bet again if I need to, and I'm fine with that. I understand the risk. But I think for the second time, I did it in 2011, and I did it there, and I think both times I was right and required a crime to to prevent that from happening, which is fine. And I'll tell you what, I was thinking about it last night. The funny way that life works where there's so much happening. I hadn't really thought of it in that context before. Although even with that said, even if I could go back and change history, and I think if it was because especially a lot of the options I had, like these, it's a day like First Majestic was up $5 or $6, and I'd had these options that were really far out of the money. So, and another thing we can dig into in option time one day, they were really starting to pick up a lot of gamma, or it's like, right, the stock's $17 and you buy a 25 strike call for like a penny. It's not going to move much, but once you start going through 25, that's when they really pick up steam. So I don't think silver would have had to go too much farther for that to become a multi-million-dollar win. Would be a fun thing to do the math on. And also we can do the math, write up a study. I'll submit my claims for damages to the CFTC since they have so many lawyers there. But we'll do it in educational fashion so that everybody watching at home who also has damages from the price tamping downage or the controlling of this or that, because I thought it was a free market, and if people buy silver, it goes up. Let's see, does anyone, before I'm about to wrap up, but can anybody explain that if it's a free market and people buy something? Actually, I think the price of silver now is still lower despite all of that buying. So are they confirming it's a rigged market, Or is Rostin telling the truth in some way that I don't understand and the LBMA is lying? Or Jeff, it's like Jeff Curry lying? Or so many moving parts. And I'm just gonna go study. Fortunately, I have this derivative background. Maybe the aliens have advanced technology. They can help me calculate it. If you have answers, please write them in the comment fields. List of people I called, multiple iShares. Ask them if they can explain how the price of silver fell 10% on the day where their own trust set records. JP Morgan, they couldn't explain it, even though they're the only one looking at any of the piles of metal. I believe there are a few silver trusts where JPM isn't the custodian. Called Jeff Curry at Goldman, have not heard back from him. CME, CFTC, Santa Claus. I went to the White House, was nobody there. And anyway, I can't figure it out, but please, if anyone knows who to call, maybe I'll call Ghostbusters and have better luck with them. But thank you. It's going to be a special week. I mean, April 29th is right around the corner, and everybody knows what that is. So with that said, I love you. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and then go on over, watch some CPM. And maybe we'll even do a bonus CPM video later just for Jeff. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.